One of the things that teachers are very keen for their pupils to achieve is the ability to recognise and write their own name. We take a phonics approach to teaching reading and spelling, so it follows that we use the same reading and spelling strategies when teaching pupils to read and write their name. To read a name, we look at each of the sound spellings, match a sound for each, and blend them to get the name. S, a, Sam, Sam. To write a name, we think of the sounds in the name, match a sound spelling for each and write it down. Liz, L, I, Z. L, I, Z, Liz. If our pupils are at the very early stages of learning to read and spell, they'll only know basic code. In terms of learning your name, that's fine, providing your name is a CVC word like these. But sadly, most names are not that easy to work with. Pupils gradually learn the more complex aspects of phonics as they move through the programme. But in the early stages, they lack a lot of phonic knowledge that they need to decode many names. For this reason, many teachers rely on pupils learning their name as a sight word, hoping that exposure to the whole thing visually will make it stick. But we know that this is neither an effective nor an efficient way to do this. So how do we support our pupils? The starting point is for teachers and teaching assistants to have a really good awareness of the alphabetic code and the order the sounds are taught in the programme. Have a look at these common names. You can see the point in the programme at which the children have learnt all the phonics they need to read and spell their name. Sam and Meg are okay, but Dylan and Mohammed potentially have to wait a long time before they know everything about their names. Realistically, we can't delay teaching some children while we wait for them to be up to speed. They need to know how to read and spell their names as soon as possible. The majority of words in English are phonically decodable. We can make the relationship between the sounds and the sound spelling super clear by putting a gap between each one and highlighting any sound spellings that are made up of more than one letter, like the words on the screen. Names of both people and places are much more problematic. Names often contain rare or unusual sound spellings, or sound spellings that we've borrowed from other languages, and even ones that parents have made up themselves. So we need to be creative when we're coding names like these. If we apply this to the names we looked at earlier, we can see how this coding potentially opens the door to more advanced phonics for children. So how do we specifically support pupils to read their names when they include sound spellings beyond their current phonic knowledge? Whenever you present the name to the child, make sure it's coded and that you demonstrate dynamic blending using connected phonation to show them how to read it. The focus is on modelling how to decode their name, but you could also point out and talk about the sound spellings that you think are going to be difficult. Let's look at my name, Anne. Using this strategy, you'd say, Anne has two sounds in, ah, n. You haven't done this yet, but this is a way of writing the sound n. It has two letters in. Anne. To make the dynamic blending even more obvious, you could colour code it as well. Here the sound spellings get progressively darker as the child dynamically blends through the word, as in this example. Reese. A super multisensory way for a child to experience reading their name is to make it into a flippy. The sound spellings are printed on a series of cards, which are then stacked and stapled together. the child runs their finger across the cards, saying the sound as each sound spelling flips up. Beth. Beth. Templates for making flippies can be found in the Additional Materials folder. Thinking about names with more than one syllable, we can add other strategies to make this aspect clear. Here, the asterisk is added to show where the word is split into syllables or chunks, and the colour coding to indicate dynamic blending restarts in the second syllable. Once again, demonstrate dynamic blending and how to manage the chunks to show how to read it. You. Seth. Yusef. Another strategy is to colour code the syllables as shown in this flippy. Who. Sane. Hussein. A similar coded approach can be taken to spelling. It's helpful to give pupils a place to write each sound spelling, such as writing in boxes or on a series of lines, one for each sound. In all of these strategies, it's really important that the pupil says the sound at the same time as writing the sound spelling. This reinforces the relationship between the sound and how to write it. Let's think about the name Tess. Tess. For names with more than one syllable, using colour coding can again be helpful. Ruby. Ruby. Rue. 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 B. B. Ruby. Another way to practice spelling is using cards, each with a sound spelling on. You can mix them up and ask the pupil to sort them into the correct order. The child says the sound at the same time as putting the sound spelling card in the right place. Mark. A sensory approach to writing can help reinforce the relationship between sound and sound spelling. The pupil could write their name in different media, using different writing tools or on different surfaces. It's important to also make sure that they say the sound at the same time as writing the sound spelling. Moving on to writing, we begin by drawing the appropriate number of lines on the whiteboard to act as a visual cue. The pupil segments their name and then matches a sound spelling for each sound. Fin. With these simple strategies, pupils are on the road to understanding and remembering how to read and spell their names.